Okay, so this is a brief training video to go over the basics of logging. We're going to start with a new project, and of course we're going to start with just a regular Python project we're using PyCharm here, but you could use um, any IDE, of course. And we'll just call it logging starter. Okay. And now I tend to use pipeenv, and I would recommend that you do as well. And so this will contain a little bit of pipeenv um, as well. Pipeenv creates virtual environments. So you have multiple types of virtual environments that you can create. Conda, virtual, and env, and of course pipeenv, but there are others too. And what that does is that anything that we install into our virtual environment remains in the virtual environment alone. So we're going to just have it create a default main, and we're going to go ahead and let that get created. So we're going to just close this, and it's loading. Now you'll notice it's given us a main, which we can call, and of course it has a print statement embedded in this function. So it's a pretty simple console application that we can get started. Now, one of the things that we are going to do that's just a regular housekeeping sort of thing is that this is pipeenv. And the only thing we want to do is enable pipeenv by typing pipeenv shell. And what that does is it loads all the basic environment variables. Now it's telling us that it's already doing so the IDE took care of that. Okay, so logging is basically the capturing of data that we could find useful for either troubleshooting, debugging, security incidents, what have you. And Python makes it easy. It's in fact of all the languages I've used, it is some of the simplest to implement logging. So with that, we're going to do import, and we're going to import logging. Logging is a normal part of the Python framework. And then from there, we're going to do logging dot basic config. And basic config is basically our opportunity to just slap in some logging right away. So for example, we can do file name, and this will be the name of our logging file. So logging data, okay, .log. Now, one of the other things that we probably want to do is set the logging level. And what do I mean by that? Well, logging is generally done at a particular message level. And I believe there's 5 that starts from, well, 6 actually. So there's none. You don't have to log anything. You could do log debugging information. That tends to be the most verbose and contain the most information. From there, I believe you have information. Then you have warning. Above that is error and critical. And at different times in your application's life, you're going to want to select different logging levels. For us, since we're just trying to demonstrate this, we're going to do logging debug, and we're using the debug value there. Okay. Now, to simply call this application, the logging, and to write something to the log file, we just call again logging. Okay, and we are going to do a debug message, right? And so we'll just say data core is fine, something really innocuous. Okay, and then we're going to just run that. And what we should see is our new log file. And then, of course, it has the data that we wrote to it. Now, this particular message, debug root, is we are making use of the root logger. And we'll see in a little bit, we can make this a little bit more specific in another video, I think, what we're going to do. So for now, let's go back to our logging and let's try logging something else. Let's do logging at the error level, right? So we are basically saying, you know, we can, this is a much more serious message. The core is melting, right? Abandoned ship. And from there, if we run this again, we have our updated log file, and it didn't. Okay, so my mistake. I refreshed the file and found out that yes, it did. It is working just fine. So I think with that, you have a very basic understanding of how you can get started with logging. In the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to update these some of these variables and make these parameters, and we're also going to make use of a few more. So look forward to that in the next logging video.